Hey guys, what is going on? This is Wrestlelamia, back with another episode. Some wrestlers have endeavors outside the squared circle ranging from acting to politics to music. However, not all endeavors are as successful as they'd like, and in fact, some are downright ugly. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the worst music recordings made by wrestlers. Before we get into looking at this carnival of crap, let's clarify what Wrestlelamia is using to categorize the crap. Although wrestling promotions have produced some truly awful music, and in fairness, also some good stuff, Wrestlelamia is only looking at albums or songs produced by wrestlers on their own. Thus, while Vince McMahon's Stand Back is pretty bad, it's a WWF in-house production from their Piledriver album, so it doesn't count.
I never will be just an ordinary guy. I always push harder, reaching for the sky, stand back.
With that in mind, on to the audio awfulness. Number 1. Hulk Hogan, Hulk Rules. Arguably the patron saint of bad wrestling albums, this wasn't the Hulkster's first foray into the music industry. But it's become enshrined as one of the biggest abominations in the music industry, perhaps only eclipsed by Guns N' Roses' Chinese Democracy. One thing is certain, this album did what Hogan does best, put himself over. Interestingly, the Hulkster doesn't provide vocals on many of the songs, but when he does, watch out. The sickening sweet Hulkster in Heaven has the immortal one lamenting the loss of a terminally ill fan who has gone off to that great squared circle in the sky. Listening to this album will likely have you wanting to join said fan in eternity, as it not only features the Hulk's vocals, but those of his now ex-wife Linda. Number 2. Randy Savage, Be a Man. Macho Man Randy Savage's Be a Man album featured one half of the Mega Powers going off on his former friend Hulk Hogan. With music that sounded like leftovers from a cancelled Street Fighter 8-bit video game, things got off to a bad start with the title track and only got worse. While the Macho Man performed competently, his whack lyrics and outdated music had fans looking for earplugs instead of earphones. Hulk, I'm glad you set it off. Used to be hard, Hulk, now you done turned soft. Doing telephone commercials, I seen ya. Dancing in tights as a ballerina. I knew all along you had those tendencies. Sadly, despite the Macho Man calling the Hulkster out, Randy ended up being a studio gangster when it came to deliver the goods against Hogan. According to reporter Mike Mooneyham, Savage appeared at a TNA pay-per-view, but hadn't counted on Hulk Hogan being backstage. The meeting between the two mad icons was less than cordial, although sources say Hogan reassured Savage that he had his back, to which Savage offered a sarcastic reply. The Hulkster then challenged Savage to step outside and settle their differences, but the Macho Man reportedly backed down and walked away. Savage later told TNA he would not work for the promotion due to an unsafe work environment. While he eventually relented, his well-documented run-in, or in this case run-away, with Hogan robbed him of any street cred he sought with this album. Number 3. Jeff Hardy, Apology. In 1953, the Central Intelligence Agency authorized Project MKUltra, a code name for a program involving mind control through various methods involving the administration of heavy amounts of psychoactive drugs, hypnosis, and other extreme measures. While the program reportedly ended by the early 1970s, Jeff Hardy's band Peroxygen, and more importantly, their product, suggests there may be some truth to the conspiracy theory that Project MKUltra did not stop, as the CIA claimed. Otherwise, how else to explain the band's song Apology, which sounds like someone uploaded Brother Nero's consciousness into a combination of a Cuisinart and a MIDI keyboard.
Saved or stolen, it's such a gift from high above. When a child is born and that child is yours.
We'll skip the obvious joke of the song's title being what fans demanded from Hardy when they listened to it. Tragically, the parameters of our video prevent us from including Jeff's TNA entrance music, which is well deserving of worst of recognition. Number 4. Roddy Piper, I'm Your Man. Roddy Piper is another one of many wrestlers who was taken away from the fans too soon. Nonetheless, Wrestlelamia has to add him to our list of bad wrestling albums and songs due to his 1992 single, I'm Your Man. This song was only released in the UK, but thanks to the power of YouTube, fans can watch the music video with or without the sound on, and by our estimation, it's perhaps best not played at all. The song is a sappy love song by Hot Rod that talks of how he's just the man for a certain lovely lady, and features the rowdy Scott not only working out in the gym, but showing his softer side.
The things you say, the things you do, oh baby, I've been looking for you all my life.
During his legendary War to Settle the Score match with Hulk Hogan that aired on MTV, Piper famously quipped that MTV stood for music to vomit by. Wrestlelamia thinks that I'm Your Man deserves the MTV label too. Number 5. Jerry the King Lawler. It's difficult to think of wrestlers from the Territory era who were as over as Jerry Lawler was in the Memphis promotion he and Jerry Jarrett ran. Not only could fans see the King on Championship Wrestling every week, but they could see Lawler host his own weekly TV show. Like many of the wrestlers on our list, Lawler could have mistaken his success in wrestling as evidence he could succeed at whatever he tried his hand at, or in this case, voice. In Lawler's case, he performed novelty songs in Memphis wrestling such as Wimp Busters, a parody of the then popular song Ghostbusters, mocking manager Jimmy Hart,
Who you gonna call?
but also recorded music including an album, Memphis's Other King. Undoubtedly, the creme de la crap of Lawler's discography is Wrestling with Girls, a song in which Lawler talks about using wrestling moves during a romantic encounter.
Wrestling with girls. Wrestling with girls.
The song's cheese factor was enough to keep Tennessee's rodent population, but then again, this is the same guy who brought in the Frankenstein monster as a wrestler, along with Adam West from the vintage Batman TV series to cut a promo, complete with Batsuit. As one Reddit user put it, the only thing missing from Lawler's Wrestling with Girls is a line about driving his date back to high school the next day. Number 6. Terry Funk, Great Texan. There's nothing great about Terry Funk's collection of songs here other than for comedic value. In addition to the laugh-inducing singing, listeners should get a chuckle out of the song titled Barbra Streisand's Nose.
Bo Derek's hips and Mick Jagger's lips and Farrah Fawcett's eyes. She had Barbra Streisand's nose.
After finding modest success in Hollywood, Terry Funk may have thought that the recording industry was his next chance of success outside of wrestling. Granted, the music industry is full of singers whose unusual speaking voices hide a terrific singing voice, but regrettably for the Funker, he's not one of them. Terry Funk's unmistakable voice is sadly inescapable on the album's various tracks, with some of his songs bordering on spoken word performances right down there with William Shatner. Even Terry Funk himself admits that the album is a complete piece of wrestle crap. In his memoir, More Than Just Hardcore, the man who once tried to suffocate Ric Flair on national television with a plastic bag admitted, Great Texan contains some of the most god-awful singing you've ever heard. Jimmy Hart wrote the songs for me because I was too cheap to pay for the rights to songs that people had already heard. All the songs on that album had one thing in common: they all sucked. While Funk has repeatedly retired from wrestling only to pop back up in the squared circle, fans can take comfort knowing Funk retired from recording albums after this disaster. Number 7. The Rock. Dwayne Johnson made the jump from squared circle success to Hollywood superstardom look so easy that he must have thought recording a record would be a piece of cake, or in this case, a piece of pie. After a guest appearance on Wyclef Jean's It Doesn't Matter single, The Rock decided to do some rapping of his own, albeit with an assist from noted rapper and producer Slick Rick, performing on the song Pie.
The Rock having pie in the country, devoured hers her aunts and Stella was hungry.
That's all Rock said?
Bored and reading the papers till finally a plate of the next door neighbors.
Here, The Rock shows what happens when someone has a knack for singing, but isn't quite up for rapping. Anyone who has heard The Rock perform at his rock concerts on WWE TV knows he can carry a tune.
Dressed like a hooker. Not the expensive kind.
In this situation, he's a fish out of water as his rapping sounds like a bad karaoke performance of Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble. The Rock is a man of many talents, but rapping is not one of them. Honorable mention, Michael Hayes, Off the Streets. Long before he allegedly told Mark Henry he was more of an N-word than him, Michael Hayes was spewing out other crap, mainly his Off the Streets album, which is known for 3 things. 1. Hayes' Playgirl-like centerfold in the album centerfold featuring a naked Hayes covering up his Freebird with the Confederate flag. 2. This undeniably catchy song Bad Street,
Bad Street in LTA. Bad Street in the whole USA.
which the Freebirds used as their entrance music rather than pay licensing fees for Leonard Skinner's Free Bird, as they'd done before the music industry cracked down on wrestlers using their songs for entrances without paying for them. And 3, some awful vocals by Hayes, particularly on his cover of The Boys Are Back in Town. Ironically, the music on this album is excellent at times, but Hayes' vocals detract from the majority of the songs. Whether it's a case of him singing outside his range, the studio being unable to cover up all his faults, or something else, this album falls short. If it wasn't for Bad Street being on here, it would be on our main list rather than getting an honorable mention. Exotic Adrian Street, Shake, Wrestle and Roll. Long before there was the bizarre one Goldust, there was Welsh-born bone crusher Adrian Street, a wrestler whose penchant for punishing opponents was rivaled only by his skill at applying makeup and glitter. Street's tactics in the ring, such as trying to kiss opponents, kept them off their game, but nothing could prepare the world for this album. On one level, it's a combination of 70s-era glam rock with punk rock lyrics, with songs ranging from A Sweet Transvestite with a Broken Nose to Violence is Golden, adding a certain level of fun. Whether you write this as awful or just an over-the-top comedy album is something we'll leave for you to decide. If nothing else, this album contains Street's entrance song, Imagine What I Could Do to You.
I eat a dozen T-bones for my early morning snack. So imagine what I could do to you.
Well guys, there you have it, Wrestlemania's look at the worst wrestling music albums. Are your ears bleeding at the thought of these disasters? Be sure to leave your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time for some more wrestling content.